All right, what is up, YouTube? This is KRYPT KEYPR. Today we're gonna do a track breakdown for my track Bad Boy. It is available for free download on SoundCloud, so if you like it, go ahead and download it, and I'll leave a link somewhere down in the description. But let's just jump into the project file here. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit of it. I'll start with the verse and then a little bit of the drop just so you can hear it and see if you still want to keep watching this video or not. Alright, you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to show you my master. I'm going to explain my pre-master and sidechain process, and then I will explain the rack that I use on almost every single track. And once I've done that, I will do a deep dive on each section and the tracks that are in those sections. So let's take a look at my master. Nothing's really going on here except for this JST clip. This is the stock settings. It's just a clipper, so it's clipping everything at 0. This is my mono check, so I just like to sometimes check the mono signal and see how strong it is, if it's good or it needs more of a push. I also have ozone imager because sometimes there's still more side elements coming through on the low end, and what I will do is turn this guy on and just cut the side information from the lows completely on the master. So that's pretty much that. I have span on here so I can look at my frequency response. I don't really use Shope. Shope is just going to show you the waveform, so you can kind of see that. I also have M Loudness Analyzer. The Melda free pack is freaking awesome, and there's a bunch of good stuff in there that I would recommend you just getting the free pack and checking it out. But I use this to check my LUFS and try to use it to help me get to the loudness that I like. So yeah, that's my master. I do sometimes use mini meters also. Not using it right now though. But yeah, so this is a RIDDIM track, as you heard. So the drop is fairly simple. Tried to make it easy for everybody if they're going to be chopping it up with other songs. But let's just dive into the sidechain. So here's my sidechain bus. Basically, I have all of these groups. If you see right here, it's routed to the sidechain bus. So the Vox group, my effects and atmospheric elements also going to sidechain bus, drop sidechain bus, but the drums are going to the pre-master. So basically, my pre-master, I will put a tape stop or maybe some other strange like stuttering effects or things to kind of chop up the entire song to give it an interesting effect, maybe for a fill or something like that. I also will use this pre-master bus for the builds where I can take the width of the build down a little bit, so that way once the drop hits, the drop is fully wide and it just sounds more big and impactful. I did not do that here, so sorry to see that, but you know, that's kind of my idea behind it. So let's look at the sidechain bus. So what's happening is the kick 2 track, this one right here, the audio is being sent to ShaperBox, and I love ShaperBox for this because I made this preset and I don't have to switch back and forth between MIDI and audio. It just detects the audio coming from this track and it uses that to sidechain. So these are my my go-to settings. I have the low end up at 250 just to make sure that the kick really punches through in the low end, and everything above is right there. So I recommend getting ShaperBox 3 just to be able to use the audio version of the side chaining feature for ShaperBox. So that's pretty self-explanatory there. If you want, I'll go into ShaperBox in another video. Just let me know in the comments. So now that we have both of the pre-master and sidechain stuff out of the way, let's start looking at these different sections. We're going to start off with the intro. So up at the top, I tend to keep my drums. There's nothing really in the intro for drums. I do in my effects section have some stuff. My effects section is usually just things that aren't very tonal, mostly white noise, impacts, kind of simple stuff like that. So we've got this little, kind of like a small rise and washout. And then really all that's going on here is some compression. Oh, I guess this is a great time for me to go into my processing rack that I put on pretty much every track. So this is it right here. I have side widener. This is just to make, you know, a signal wider if you would like. I have it mapped to this knob right here, so I'm not doing anything with the width on this. I have the mid-side gains, so if I want the mids to be more present, I can just boost this knob and only the mid signal will go up, and then, or mono signal, and then I can do the same thing for the sides. So if there's plenty of mono signal but not really any mid signal, or I'm sorry, if there's plenty of mono signal and no side signal, I can use this to boost the sides. If you're looking at a like spectrum EQ and there's like a lot of low end, I will use this to cut the side signal in the low end. That's why it's called sub-side cut. All it is a utility on bass mono with 200 hertz and below cut. And then I have the same thing, just duplicated twice, so that sub-side cut and a multi-band compressor. The amount knob here is attached to both of these. The time knob here is attached to both of them as well. So you can see it, while I'm moving this one knob, both of them are going up and down. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, that'll make going through this project file a lot faster. So we have this white noise. Now we also have this cashmere impact. I love cashmere impacts. They're great. I do have a automation for this EQ after the clipper. There's no crazy processing or anything going on here. The G clip setting is on hard. So as you can see there, I tend to leave it all the way up, so it's not soft clipping on most of the tracks. So what happened here was there's no low end in this section, but then there is in this section. So once I get onto that area, I decided to cut the low end from the impact so that they didn't interfere with each other. So pretty much self-explanatory. This track right here is just one long sustaining note. So I'm pretty sure what I did was I had a little piece of this this sample that I got from Splice, and I did what I'm about to show you guys. So let's just grab this, put this here. We'll solo it. We'll add another audio track. And then what I'm going to do is turn this into a resampling track. So we'll arm it. We'll grab reverb, chuck it right here. Sure, I'll cut some of the lows. Great. Turn this up to like maybe fine. This is just for demonstration, not like I'm trying to nail it. But what you'll end up doing is, all right, this needs to go on this one. So what you'll end up doing is once this starts playing, you'll click on this freeze button right here, and it'll hold sort of the reverb section where you press freeze and just keep it sustaining. So I'll show you now. So you can hear, even after I press stop, it's still ringing out, right? So what I can do is click on this one and hit record. Great. Now I just basically bring that up into this section, and I was trying to fill out some extra space. So that's pretty much how I did that, and I think that was straightforward enough that I can keep on moving. So we'll turn these off right now, but this is just a sample from Splice, and then I added AU Matrix reverb on it. Here you can see I didn't really mess with the settings that much, but if you want to copy them for whatever purpose, you go ahead and do that. And then I did also compress this at 49%. So it's just adding some more high end in and squashing the sound, kind of filling it out a little bit more. I'm not using Pro Q at all, so there's no reason for that to be on. But yeah, that's pretty much that whole section. Once we get into this section, we'll get some more elements, so you'll hear that. I'll let you hear that now. All right, so we'll start at the top. We got this kick. This is just a kick that I made a while back, and all I did to it was I cut some of the low mids. It was a little bit too punchy, and kind of the punch for kicks, I think, comes down in this area. So since it's the build and not the drop, I didn't want it to be so punchy. So I just figured pull it down right there, and it sounded good to me. So that's pretty much it for that. On this group, at the end of the build, I just reverb it out. You'll see once we get to that point, it sounds pretty good. But let's go to these claps. So in this section before the build, I have a delay on, and it just kind of adds a little bit of, you know, ambiance, a little spookiness, so that this sounds like this. All right, you get it. So it's just two claps. This is the Agony Mini Clap 8. Shout out to Agony. They're cracked. They have a bunch of really good packs, and you should check them out. I use them all the time. I know a bunch of other people do as well. But this is their clap, and then layered with my clap. So my clap is a little bit more of the transient, and theirs is more of like the tone, or like kind of the higher end side that I like. So not really a whole lot going on. Just cutting the low mids on the Agony one. Turned the clipping setting down into the middle, so it was right in between hard and soft. And that's really it for that one. And on mine, I did not do that at all. I just cut the lows out. So let's keep on moving. for the cymbals in this section, there's only 2, but they are all cutting the low mids and lows out because there is some other noise below them, and I don't want those elements interfering with the other low elements in my track. So I put an EQ on the whole group to cut them out. This is the drop one. Here is this one, so you can hear it. And this was just a hat that I made a while ago, and I'm cutting out the transient because the transient is kind of harsh. Here. I like the way that sounded, so I cut out the transient. And then I also compressed it at 45%, and I turned the time scaling all the way up. And I even cut some of this EQ out as well, because that compression was adding a bunch of low mid stuff back in. So that's pretty much that. Once we get to the build, I'll talk to you about the other hat. But this is another version of the main bass, and I just tease it in the verse and the build and the pre-drop. So this is what this sounds like. So yeah, you can see that I've got some stuff going on here. We will turn all of these off and let you hear what it sounds like in with. Pretty uneventful, unexciting by itself, coming straight out of Operator. But I'll show you the settings in Operator. This is the first oscillator. So it's just a square wave. You can copy these settings if you want to. The second oscillator is a saw wave, sawtooth wave. And I'm not using any of these other ones. Definitely make sure the course on the second one is up 4. And then here are the pitch settings. So it kind of has like a slope down pitching effect from the beginning. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And then we add some delay. Makes it a little bit more stereo. The old phaser adds a little bit of high end. This convolver is on phaser 4. Kind of makes it sound more lasery. This, we are boosting the signal 6.6 decibels on G-clip, or 6.2. It says 6.6 here, but you know, it's pretty close. Anyway, boosting that on G-clip, and then we are compressing the balls off of it, and we have the time all the way down. So there's that, and I'm also cutting a bunch of stuff out here. So let me turn this off and this off. And now I'm going to turn Pro Q on. So there's some just low mid information here that was very resonant that I didn't like, and I didn't think it helped the track, so I got rid of it. This sound was very wide because of these different plugins right here, the delay, phaser, and convolver. Those are all going to make your sound much wider. So I decided to pull the side signal down in these areas and boost some of the mid here as well. But my highs were kind of lacking in the side, so I decided to boost the highs as well. So that's makes it more centered, more like the main element. I still felt like maybe the highs needed to be higher, so I thought that sounded good. This is just, you know, for making this space more full, adding a little bit of extra. And then we have this reverb here. Really fills out the space. this utility is just for the build section, which you'll see in a second. All right, we've got this other white noise that I showed you before, this other impact. We cut out the lows in this section, so you see right here, I automated it on, and now it'll hit, but the low end won't be there so that it doesn't interfere with this Reese that I have. So this section sounds like this. All right, you get it. This is the Reese, and I'll show you how I made it. It's pretty basic. I named it Murata Reese just because at the time I was inspired by Murata and trying to make stuff that sounded kind of like him. I mean, he still inspires me, but what else is new? This is just two sawtooth waves with a buttload of unison, random all the way up. And a sub. So there is a signed sub. So yeah, nothing really crazy going on there. This was automating the levels of everything, but I have it all the way up because I didn't want it to go up and down in volume. And then all I've got going on is this compressor on the multiband setting, and then this filter on the MG Low 6, and it's really just barely cutting out any highs. If I turn this off, let's see what everything sounds like. So if I turn it off now. So yeah, you can see really all it was doing was cutting out some super high highs. All right. Now all of this stuff is basic. The only thing I'm doing is cutting out the side information, or the low side information. The side sub information is being cut. With this, I'm cutting out some low mids and then the high highs. So before it, after. Yeah. You get the idea. It's just a low end kind of background element. We have a bunch of other elements in the high end doing different stuff. So this is the same one you heard before, and we've already heard this one as well. All right, now let's take a listen and look at the build. Okay, so in this section you can see that I have some reverb starting to go up here. I just thought that it sounded cool. Again, that delay was over there. We double timed the hats, so then I added this layer. So before it was just, and now it's this. So I thought adding that extra layer added a little bit more emphasis to the build. And then we have the same thing going on here, just cutting out or reverbing out the bass. And then we do have a white noise riser here. So yeah, nothing being automated or changed here. In this, yeah, that wasn't being automated at all either. So, or reverbed out in any way. Let's take a look at this one. Neither was that. Wow. Interesting stuff. Okay, so the pre-drop vocal, I'll kind of show you how I got this this swell. But basically, I took this this sample and added some reverb to it, reversed it. I'll show you in a second. But without anything, this is what this sounds like.
Original bad boy!
With this delay, I'm adding some very short delay that makes it sound kind of robotic and metallic.
Original bad boy!
This delay is turning on at the very end and is ping-ponging back and forth between the left and right signal, and it's just for the fake out section. So yeah, that's pretty much that. All I'm doing on my rack here is boosting it up about 3 decibels, pulling down the clip setting to like medium, so it's not clipping so hard and sounding so harsh. I am compressing it at 50%. And then there was a resonant frequency that I just didn't like, so I pulled that down on Pro Q. Oops.
Original bad boy! Original!
Yeah, so super resonant frequency right there, and I did not think that it helped. And then I cut out the low end there. So that's pretty much it for that. Kind of like I showed you on this area, what happened with the reverb swell is I grabbed the sample, I chucked this right here. Let's solo this. We'll turn on this reverb. Okay, so that's pretty much what I did there. I'll turn this on and then just go record. Great, and then I pretty much just went like this, reversed it, brought it to about there, and yeah, I just pulled this over like so, and then pulled this over like that. And so these two are basically the same. Wasn't doing any processing there. I might have cut the lows and then freeze. Yeah, I froze it, so I'm sure I cut the lows. But that one versus this one, there you go. Practically the same thing. So yeah, it just adds like a cool effect, a swell into that pre-drop vocal. And then the fake has the main mid-high layer of the bass, just going back and forth. Here you go. So really all that's happening on this track that's different than the other one in the verse and build is the decay on the reverb and the dry wet on this delay is getting smaller. So it starts out sounding like it's further away and that it's getting closer to you. And then once the drop hits, there's no delay or reverb. So it's very in your face. So that's pretty much that. Okay, let's get into the drums for the drop. So we have our main kick right here. Again, shout out Agony. Great kicks, great bass samples. But yeah, I chucked it into this sampler. And these are the settings. You know, I pulled this back a little bit and turned the fade out up, brought it up to 0. I also added more gain to G-clip, so about 7 decibels there to make it loud. I love it. I love loud kicks. Like nothing ruins a song more than a kick or snare or clap that's not loud. So I made it really loud. I even compressed it at 45%. I did actually cut some of the low mids on this one as well. While it is louder and is the drop kick, I think that because this is RIDDIM, I didn't want it to be so punchy. So I made the kick a little bit softer by cutting out this low mid punch. I cut out some of the highs, and then there were some just resonant frequencies right there that I didn't like. So we turn those off. Very, very subtle, but it sounded good to me, so that's what I did. That's pretty much it. Everything going into the clipper. Great. Here's a clap that I made a while back. Very loud, but it's very RIDDIM-y. So all I did was cut the lows and a little bit of low mids out. Here is another clap that I made. I just like that one for more of the transient. Again, just cut out the low mid or lows, and I didn't do anything else to it. Together, they sound like this. They sound kind of clippy together, but with everything else in the mix, it was perfect. So, the next part will be the cymbals. Again, I cut the lows and low mids out because we don't need any of that information. And this reverb was really just for the build section. So all I did was turn the softness down on the G clip, so it looks like that. And then I boosted it about 3 decibels. Cool. Now we can get into the drop. So I'm not clipping the drum group, but I am clipping the bass group. And I think by doing that, I can get the drums to be a little bit louder. I'm already clipping the drums, but if I decide to boost them even more, coming out of that group into the pre-master, into the master, it sounds louder, and that's what we want because we're making dubstep, and dubstep is loud as fuck. Anyway, we've got JST clip on here. I like JST clip. You could have used G clip. I had it here, but I'm not using it. JST clip, I think, adds a nice like color to it, and even a slight bit of distortion that I like. I also am saturating these different layers together, which adds a little bit of sizzle. I'm saturating it with kilohertz distortion, and I'm on the saturation setting at 2 decibels at 30%. I thought it sounded good. If we solo it, I'll turn it on and off so you guys can kind of hear the difference. It's pretty subtle, but adds a little bit of high-end sizzle. Yeah, just a little bit brighter and a little bit of sizzle. If you're not wearing headphones, you probably won't even notice the difference. But yeah, so this is the drop bass. You guys could see all the settings previously, but I'll let you look at them again. This is the first oscillator that is a square, and this is the second oscillator. It is a sawtooth. The time is on 25, so I have it set here to 25 because these are quarter notes, but in a later in the second half, they end up going a little bit faster, so I automate the time to make it go faster. So yeah, that's pretty much that. There's the pitch envelope again. You can copy all these settings. I might actually give this project file away, so just keep a lookout in the description. There might be a link for it there. But yeah, so pretty basic stuff. This song is in D minor, so A is the 5th of D, and yeah, we pretty much just followed D Phrygian and made some quarter notes here so that people can chop it up pretty easily. Nothing really different about this one. The only thing is on the very end, I do have a dry signal and a reverb signal. And looking at this, I actually did it wrong. So that's interesting to see. I must have been really tired at this point. But what you do if you want to have 2 signals, 2 chains, working together, you would take this utility, swap the left and right so that the signal is inverted, and you would put it right before the reverb section. So that way the signal coming in is flipped. That way when both of them are layered on top of each other, the main signal is canceling this one out, and then only the post-processed signal is coming through. So hopefully that made sense. But yeah, so that's the only thing that's going on here that might be different from the intro and fake portions. All right. Now, this layer is pretty much just like a lower kind of, not really percussive, but just a lower note to kind of fill out the frequency spectrum. But I'm pretty sure this is a preset from an Odd Profit pack, and I'll show you what it sounds like with no processing. All right, so not very exciting to start off with, but we throw an OG frequency shifter on it. We made it lower, and then we did something that I love doing, is grabbing echo mode and turning the smear knob up. And I did pull the pitch down a little bit as well, but now it sounds like this. So you can see it just got like really metallic. I like that, but I didn't want all of the high end, so I ended up EQing that out. But basically, I pulled the softness in G-Clip all the way down, so it was completely soft. And then I pulled the gain up by 69, nice, which would be around like 7 decibels in G-Clip. And then I compressed it at 100%. And I cut out the like high mids and highs, and what else? Also the lows and some of the low mids. You already saw G-Clip, and then added AU matrix reverb. So without these two, with AU matrix, a little different. And then I cut out more lows and highs again. So it's just a layer that's very subtle underneath everything, but very subtle. You can still hear it though. So I thought that that is what it needed. Now on to the sub. Let me show you how I like to make my subs. I use a square wave. And basically, I add a pitch envelope or LFO to that oscillator. So it sounds like this. You can hear at the beginning of each note, it pitches down. I'll make it super drastic for you. I'll also turn off LFO tool. So a lot of tear out people like to do this to their subs because it makes it sound more gunny, more impactful. I like doing it in RIDDIM as well, but not so aggressive. So I just brought it down halfway. And then I also used the LFO tool to kind of cut out the very beginning and end of it because I felt like the note was dragging on too long. And by cutting out the very beginning and end of it, it actually made it sound a little bit more bouncy and punchy, like a little bit, just a little more impactful. So here's without it. With it. So that's pretty much that. Pretty much what I do to all of my subs is I overdrive the low end. So this is just the settings that I put on my low end. Same thing with the bass amp. It just adds a little bit more distortion and harmonics to the low end. Sometimes I will add this wide and dirty preset, erosion preset, to give it like some high-end sizzle. But I didn't do that on this track. This multipass is also a part of that. So if I turn this on and this on, you can kind of hear the difference that it's making. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All of it's going into a clipper and then into the LFO tool. So that is the sub, all of them together. There you go. So that's pretty much it for the drop. Realistically, the breakdown, verse, and build of the second half is exactly the same. I think the only thing that might be different is the arrangement of some of the drums, and that's pretty much it. The drop is different. The rhythm goes from eighth notes to quarter notes to eighth notes to quarter notes, whereas the first drop is only quarter notes. So I did that to try to give people a little bit of variation, and if they are chopping, you know, it keeps things a little bit more exciting. Just dealer's choice whether you want to use first drop or second drop, but that sounds like this. So you see what I mean there. And again, we basically just duplicated this track right here that was on the 25% time, and then we took it to 0 time. So that just made it faster. I think that pretty much covers it. The only other things that I think I would recognize before we go is these little samples. These are just James Brown. Good God. This is the Bad Boy.
Bad Boy!
And James Brown again making some noises for us, and they're layered with the drums, and they're just fills. So that's pretty much that. And yeah, the outro is the same thing that was in the intro that just slowly fades out with a cashmere impact. So yeah, that was the track breakdown. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me until the end. Again, this song is available for free on my SoundCloud. The link will be in the description. Let me know if there's any other things that you guys want me to go over. I'd be happy to start looking into those and making videos on them. So I appreciate you guys again for staying till the end, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.